You ever watch your entire childhood go up in smoke, literally? Because that's exactly what happened the day my grandfather's handmade paddleboat, the pride of three generations, burned to ash right in front of me while the HOA president, this tennis court Karen from California, stood there grinning like she'd won something important. That woman didn't just burn a boat, she set fire to 50 years of memories. And when I saw her dial 911 chirping some nonsense about registration fees, I realized I'd never hated anyone the way I hated Dolores Crinky in that moment. And let me tell you, if you've ever dealt with a power-drunk HOA tyrant, you know sometimes revenge isn't a dish best served cold. It's a meal you plan for years, one bite at a time. But let me back up a sec, because this little bonfire wasn't some random act. 3 weeks before the blaze, I was sipping the world's most bitter coffee at Murphy's Diner when Dolores strutted in, clipboard clutched like a weapon. That clipboard always meant trouble for someone, and this time it was me. "Mr. Decker, you haven't paid the watercraft registration fee," she sing-songed, like she was doing me a favor. I took a slow sip, let the taste of her attitude settle. "Not paying it, Dolores," I told her, and she tried not to let her eyelid twitch. "See? I'd only moved back to Willow Cove Lake after my dad died. Inherited the family cottage, Grandpa's 1962 paddleboat, and the last shreds of small-town peace. Thing is, Dolores had just rolled in 3 years ago, fresh from some suburb where she'd learned you could bleed people dry with fines and still call yourself a community leader. She married into payday loans real class actor husband, promised to modernize our Lake One HOA president by 2 votes, and started squeezing every penny out of anyone she didn't like. Rules are rules, she'd chirp as if it was arithmetic, not a shakedown. What she never got is you can't scare someone who's already lost too much. I'd been tracking her for months, watching as she fined the old Anderson place into foreclosure as her brother-in-law's company scooped up properties for dirt cheap after scaring folks off with violations. She was building an empire and I was supposed to be her next casualty. But the difference is I don't roll over for bullies and I sure as hell don't let them steal my family's legacy. The next morning my door looked like a crime scene. 17 violation notices, each one more ridiculous than the last, grass too tall by half an inch mailbox, 2 glossy dock planks weathered to excess. My favorite unauthorized American flag. Apparently freedom is a code violation now. And wouldn't you know it? Dolores showed up herself in her white Escalade, flanked by her 2 discount Secret Service board members, measuring tape and phone camera in hand. Carl measured my grass like it was a biohazard Dolores narrated for her Facebook page, and I just stood there, recording every second with my own security system. My property had more cameras than a Vegas casino. I'm a Marine old habits die hard. That's when I caught the real dirt. "Once we force out these holdouts, property values will triple," she whispered to Carl, not knowing I had audio. "My nephew's got investors ready." That was all I needed. I sent certified letters to the whole board, time-stamped proof my grass was legal, my mailbox was HOA approved. Black and federal law said I could fly any flag I wanted. Oh, and I attached that little audio gem, copied in every single homeowner for good measure. By the next morning, Murphy's was buzzing like a hornet's nest. Gus ranted about his aggressive garden gnome fine. Mary Sullivan got dinged for feeding the wrong birds. Even the Instagram crowd started muttering. Emergency HOA meeting called, and for the first time the community center was packed wall to wall. Dolores, looking like she was about to pitch a timeshare, announced a new $2,000 lake access improvement fee. Her nephew Bryce sat in the back wearing a company polo, probably thinking he was about to get rich off our misery. The Vote Pure Theater, her yoga clique raised their hands in perfect sync, and it passed 24-23. Didn't matter that 3 board members weren't even notified. As far as Dolores was concerned, the fix was in. But while she was busy playing dictator, I went to work. Dug through county records, and surprised, every foreclosed property had landed with Lakeview Holdings LLC, her brother-in-law's shell company. They'd been running a racket, finds, foreclosures, family purchase, repeat. They weren't managing a neighborhood, they were looting it. So I called my own investors. See, while Dolores was busy playing checkers, I'd been playing chess for 3 years, quietly buying up Lakefront, letting families stay, building trust. As of last week, I controlled 66% of the properties, all above board, all legal. I owned the battlefield. She just hadn't realized it yet. Then came the next low blow. A fortress-grade electronic gate appeared at the marina overnight, blocking access to my boat. Key cards, cameras, the whole 9 yards. The sign said safety protocol, but everyone knew what it really meant. Dolores wanted to lock out the old-timers and hand the place over to her nephew's jet ski business. The gas station guy across the street just shook his head. She put it in herself at 5 a.m., he told me. Security company's her husband's cousin. Figures. Didn't matter. I headed to the courthouse, dug out the old deeds, and found what Dad had told me about years back, a 1947 easement that guaranteed lake access for all original owners forever, no matter what the HOA dreamed up. My lawyer whistled when she read it. They can't revoke this, she said. They try, and they're personally liable. We posted copies everywhere. The next board meeting was chaos. 2 resignations before it even started, and the gate came down at sunrise. But Dolores wasn't done. She tried to sabotage my boat with sugar in the gas tank amateur hour stuff, and then her nephew got caught on 6 cameras. The whole community rallied around me. We all knew who'd done it. That night, sitting by the ruined slip, I promised myself I'd end this for good. My lawyer found a clause buried in the HOA charter. If any one entity owns more than 50% of the properties, they can dissolve the HOA on the spot. Turns out, in trying to protect the neighborhood from corporate buyouts, the founders handed me the nuclear option. I had 66% through my LLCs. That was checkmate. We prepped everything: dissolution documents, civil suits, criminal referrals. Turned out Dolores and her family had siphoned off $200,000 in consulting fees, marina improvements funds, straight into their own pockets, maintenance contracts triple billed to relatives. They left a paper trail a mile wide. I set up encrypted backups, buyout offers for the last properties, and coordinated with the state police, the FBI, and my old Marine buddies for security, the whole 9 yards. On the day of the memorial meant for Grandpa's boat, but really a funeral for Dolores's kingdom, we had 300 people out there, the live stream, trending reporters everywhere. Dolores tried everything: fake lawsuits, emergency board meetings, even a moving truck blockade that broke down 2 blocks away. Each attempt fell flat. Her support evaporated. Even her nephew turned on her. I stood at the podium as the sun set gold across the water. Want to know who owns this lake? I held up the deeds, every single one verified. Not to develop, not to destroy, but to protect. Then I read the clause: as majority owner, I dissolved the HOA right there, effective immediately. Dolores shrieked, but law enforcement moved in. The forensic slides on screen showed every dirty trick she'd pulled. The FBI cuffed her for arson, fraud, conspiracy, and her husband for money laundering. Even her windbreaker-wearing safety inspector went down for his part in the scam. The crowd erupted, 300 neighbors cheering, tears, hugs, the whole community finally free. I announced the land trust, every property protected, no more forced sales. Just neighbors protecting neighbors, the way it was always supposed to be. That night we had the first real party in years, grilling, singing stories around a fire where nobody got fined. Gus brought out an army of gnomes, Mary set up a sanctuary for every bird in Michigan, and kids roasted marshmallows until dawn. Justice rolled in quick. Dolores got 5 years. Her husband 15, her nephew probation in exchange for testimony. Every stolen dollar returned. The lake came back to life. New paint, old friends, families making memories without fear. University researchers came for water quality, bald eagles nested, and for the first time in decades, everyone wanted to stay. The story even went national, but I turned down the documentary offer. This victory was ours. Now, sometimes I walk past Dolores's old house, foreclosed naturally, and see the new owners, a young teacher couple whose twin girls painted rocks that say, "Be kind, not Karen." The universe has a sense of humor. Word spread to other lakes, people asking for advice. My answer: document everything, know your bylaws, unite with your neighbors, and if you have to buy the whole damn lake. You know what I mean? Sometimes burning someone's boat lights a fuse for revolution. That's my story. 1 paddleboat, 1 Karen too many, and a whole lot of patience finally paying off. Drop your own HOA horror stories in the comments. Share your thoughts about what's right, what's wrong, and what it takes to build real community. Smash that, like if you've ever wanted to see karma at work. Next time, maybe I'll tell you how I ended up owning a golf course, but that's a story for another revolution. Until then, remember, the law is on your side if you're willing to use it, and sometimes the best way to win is to let them burn everything because you already own what matters.